Dear students, today in this lecture I would like to give a brief introduction to research methodology. In this paper, Unit 2 research methodology will give an idea about how to do a good research in the science. What are the steps we need to study before doing a research in the science, or scientific, how to do with a scientific way of research. So let me start. In this unit, we will cover a brief introduction to the research and what are the objectives and motivation to do research, and what are the different approaches in research, different types of research, and what is meant by research methods and methodology, and what are the good criteria of a good research, and different methods of research, the scientific steps to doing a research, how to find a good problem, and what is the current research innovation in the scientific research in India. Okay, so in this video I will give a short introduction and what are the objectives and what are the motivation to do research and what are the different kind of research approaches. What is meant by research? That we can define in different way. So here I have given three definition. So one is research is the search for knowledge through objective and systematic methods of finding solution to a problem. We should have a problem. We need to find the solution. To get a solution, we are using a systematic methods. So such a process we call research. The Redman and Morey given another way, the systematized effort to gain a new knowledge. Always after the end of the research we get a new knowledge. So systematized effort to gain a new knowledge is nothing but is a research. The advanced learners dictionary is given in another way. A careful investigation, inquiry, especially through search for new facts in any branch of knowledge. That is what called research. Okay. So what are the main objectives of a research? The main aim of a research to find out the truth which is hidden, which has not been discovered as yet. Actually, truth is there, but we are not discovered so far. So that is the main aim. The research objectives can be following categorized into these categories, broad groupings. To gain familiarity with the phenomenon or to achieve a new insight into it. So exploratory or formulative research studies in this kind. To portray accurately the characteristics of a particular individual situation or a group, the descriptive research studies is kind. To determine the frequency with which something occurs or with which it associated with something else. Or to test hypothesis of a causal relationship between variables. Hypothesis testing research studies, hypothesis testing. So we will come to what is meant by hypothesis and also. So these are the some grouping of objectives of research. I think you please go through these all. And why we are doing the research? What are the motivation to do research? Why? What makes people to undertake research? This question is of fundamental importance. So one of the main motive to do research is to get a research degree. You know, in India or in the world, after doing a time-bounded research, after 3 years or 5 years, we get a research degree from the universities. So we call it as doctorate or PhD, philosophy of doctorate. So one aim is to get a research degree itself. So after the PhD also we can do the research. We call it a PDF, postdoctoral fellow. So in that way, to get a research degree along with the consequential benefits, we getting a lot of knowledge after doing this research. So after, for example, we are doing the BSc Physics now. Once after completing the BSc Physics, we are doing the MSc Physics. So after the MSc Physics, in between in the BSc Physics we have a, in the between BSc Physics we have a what BSc project is and the MSc project is that's not after the MSc project BSc we are not getting a degree. We are getting BSc degree, but some projects as a part of that degree. But after doing the PhD, we getting a new degree itself. So that's why that is another one. So decide to get a research degree along with the consequential benefits, and decide to face a challenge in solving an unsolved problem, the concern over a practical problem initial research. So this is a very important motive. So there is a lot of unsolved problem in front of us. So some pupils are very crazy and they need to get a how to solve this problem. So in that way the motives are there, and decide to get a decide to face the challenge in solving unsolved problem, and decide to get intellectual joy of doing some creative work. Decide to be a service to society. That's also one motive. And decide to get a respectability is also one motive. Once we're doing after we getting a respect from others and lot of respect from others. The directive of government, employment condition, curiosity about new things, social thinking, and awake a lot of what you can do. These are some motivation to do this the good research in the current scenario. And later I will go mainly discussing two kind of research approaches are there. One is quantitative approach and the qualitative approach. The name itself implicate what is meant by quantitative and what is meant by qualitative. I will give a short introduction to you, a description. The quantitative approach we can split into three categories. One is inferential approach, one is experimental, and another one is a simulation. Third one is simulation, and I will give that each one in detail. Quantitative research usually involves collecting and converting data into numerical form so that statistical calculation can be made and conclusion drawn. So quantitative research usually involves collecting. So quantity, here the very important thing is the quantity. So usually involves collecting and converting data into numerical form so the statistical calculation can be made and conclusion drawn. So in this type of quantitative research there are three kinds. One is called inferential approach, the second is experimental, and I will give what is meant by inferential. We need to infer the characteristics, or we have to infer the relationship of population. We have a sample population in front of us. We need to collect the data from which we infer the characteristics or relationship of population by studying their relationship or their characteristics. Usually means survey research is the main where the sample population study to determine the characteristics. We need to take different methods to do this type of research, survey methods or interview methods. So we will discuss in the later this. The second type of quantitative approach is experimental research. We all know about what is meant by experiment. We are creating an environment in the laboratory or somewhere. We are manipulate some variable and to observe their effect. Some variable are manipulated to observe their effect on other variable. We have a lot of dependent variable or some independent variable. So how to change in the dependent variable while changing the independent variable? We need to find a lot of experiment. We have to repeatedly doing it, or after doing a lot of experiment we will end up with a conclusion. So such methods of in that experimentally through doing the research we need to collect a lot of data. So that way we can do the research in quantitative way. This in the experimental wise we need to control over the research environment. The experimental setup all should be in our control. That's one thing. And the third kind of research is simulation approach. Here I will, instead of doing the research in the lab or laboratory, first of all we need to construct an artificial environment with help of a machinery or computer. We need to do a lot of programming, and we are make a modeling first. First of all, doing the modeling. After doing the modeling, we can artificially we can do all thing on this machinery. Once we success, we can go for the experiment or another further study. But such type of with help of machinery by involving the construction of an artificial environment within which relevant information and data can be generated. That way of research is called simulation approach. So in the current world, a lot of simulation work is going on, because before doing the actual research, we can make it in the experiment in our computer, so we can check whether it is a succeed or not. That way we can do the research. The second main criteria or type of research approach is qualitative approach. In qualitative approach, it's not bother about the datas. We are not subjected to any rigorous quantitative analysis. Instead, we are subject to assessment of how to their attitude, what their opinion, what their behavior. So in that way of research is called qualitative approach. Here we are different kind of methods that we are using. We'll go to the next lecture on this one. So qualitative approach means we are not rigorous bother about the quantity or quantitative analysis. Instead, we are assessment of attitude or opinion or behavior. In that way, this is in the next lesson we will go to the different type of research. So today I will stopping here. What is meant by research, and what are the different research approaches, and why we are doing the research, and what are the objectives of research. This is all about today lecture. Please go through the textbook, so you can refer the Kothari research methodology by Kothari. So it's very nice book, very good book, and you can make the notes on this from the textbook. So thank you all.